Hey everybody, welcome to Brain Scratch Case Cracked. I'm your host, John Lorden. Thank you so much for joining me today. This episode being recorded for December 12th, 2017. I can't believe we are almost done with this year. This case is the case of Officer Matt Murphy. I know we've talked about on the channel before that it's pretty rare for officer-involved fatalities to not be investigated and come to some type of charges. But this is certainly one of those cases where it has taken many, many decades to come to that. Of course, we've also featured another case on the channel that kind of falls into that territory. But with all that being said, let's jump into this one and see how this case gets cracked. December 1st, 1974. Alice, Texas was a city of about 20,000 residents at the time, located near the southern tip of Texas. Matt Murphy was 33 years old, married with 2 children, a son and a daughter. He'd been working for the Alice Police Department for 11 years. Matt periodically worked undercover, but this night he was in full uniform. He had recently been reassigned to patrol duty after a string of 30 drug arrests. However, on this night, Matt had been tasked with finding a vehicle that was supposedly transporting narcotics through town. He found more than he bargained for, when shortly after midnight he pulled over a yellow vehicle at the corner of West Main Street and Highway 281. Officer Kenneth Helms arrived to find Murphy had been shot 4 times. He had been transported to the old Alice P&S hospital, but unfortunately it was too late. Officer Murphy died shortly after arriving. He was the first officer killed in the line of duty in Alice, Texas. The autopsy recovered 4 .22 caliber bullets, which hit Matt in several major organs. The police chief at the time was aware of a robbery in a nearby town where a gun matching that caliber had been stolen. Could this be the same weapon that killed Officer Murphy? Despite the department's best efforts, the case went cold. In the mid-1990s, a letter arrived at the Alice Police Department that would give this case a chance to be solved. It came from an Alabama prison warden and mentioned a jailhouse snitch that said he had info on the killing of an Alice Police Department officer. Roberto Lopez was currently serving life in prison in St. Clair Correctional Facility in Springville, Alabama, for armed robbery. According to an affidavit, Lopez bragged about shooting and killing a narc named Murphy with a .22 caliber pistol to a fellow inmate. Lopez was questioned, however, charges would not be filed at that time. That would change this year, in 2017. The Texas Department of Public Safety offered a $20,000 reward to solve Murphy's murder. The money came from the Fallen Hero Reward in association with the governor's office and Texas Crime Stoppers. Texas Ranger Nathan Mutz of the Laredo Office Cold Case Division wanted to review the case report and contacted the Alice Police Department. He went through the file and found not only was there the jailhouse snitch info, but there was also an eyewitness who saw the shooter before the murder. And that witness had successfully picked Roberto Lopez out of a lineup. In spring, April exactly, of 2017, Texas Ranger Mutz interviewed the snitch, a 75-year-old man who stood by his story, saying that Lopez bragged about the murder. The next day, Roberto Lopez was interviewed for approximately 6 hours. It was noted that now 70 years old, Lopez appeared to be in poor health. Mutz and Alice Police Chief Rex Raymond agreed that there was enough evidence to present it to the district attorney. The DA reviewed their info, and after making them verify one witness statement, which I believe was possibly the eyewitness that I mentioned, but I can't find details to confirm that, they did verify that statement and an arrest warrant was issued. November 8th of 2017, Ranger Mutz, Police Chief Raymond, and another sergeant from Alice PD traveled all the way to Alabama to serve the arrest warrant for the capital murder of Officer Matt Murphy. In terms of why this wasn't done 20 years ago, retired Alice PD Sergeant Reyes Espinosa says they didn't get any help from the district attorney's office at that time. Quote, "The thing is, there was too much politics involved in this case, and they wouldn't accept the case," Espinosa stated. "But things are different now, and we have a district attorney who is willing to help. The next step in this case is for it to be presented to a grand jury." Quote, "It's already been this long. We're going to take the time necessary," District Attorney Carlos Garcia stated. "We aren't going to rush anything. The time to rush was 40 years ago." If there is an indictment, the next step would be to extradite Lopez to Texas for a trial. What would this charge mean for a man who's already serving life in prison and is 70 years old? Well, Texas is well known for its use of the death penalty, and I wouldn't be surprised if they decided to seek that in this type of case. You've got an officer being killed in the line of duty, and there's also the fact that when he was interviewed by Mutz, Lopez told him that he would confess to the killing if they would agree to give him a lethal injection. Former Police Chief Randy Weems worked hard to bring in Murphy's killer, but noted a lot of strange things happening in the case. Quote, "There was obvious corruption in the community, and the suspect may have not acted out on his own. And I wouldn't be surprised if he confessed that there wouldn't be other people indicted as well." According to an interview of Murphy's former partner, Albert Bernal, a suspect involved in a drug investigation told the officers that there was a contract out for their lives, and that those officers were known to be narcs. Several of Officer Murphy's co-workers are still alive and very happy to see progress being made in this case. When interviewed recently, retired Alice police officer Doroteo Martinez said, "The sad part about his death is all the good that he could have been doing that he was taken away from." However, Martinez is happy that a promise that he personally made to Matt's son many years ago is finally coming true. The Murphy family has no comments at this time. And please keep in mind that Roberto Lopez is innocent until proven guilty in this matter, and that according to former Chief Weems, there might still be others involved here. If I see any other further developments on this case as it progresses, I'll let you guys know. But for now, I'm considering this a case cracked. I'm happy that it seems like they have their man. Between having the witness that could pick him out of a lineup and having the jailhouse snitch, I think that might be enough to get through trial, but I'll be really interested to see if some physical evidence might appear. For example, what happened to this gun? Could they match the bullets back up to that weapon? Could they prove that that weapon was in Roberto's possession? And the really big question for me is, were these other people that involved? Are we talking like high-ranking officials? Why, when they tried to look at this case in the 1990s, couldn't they get it to go through at that time? They had the jailhouse snitch. They probably knew about the witness back at that point. Nothing that I could find really changed from then till now, except for the fact that you've got a different group of people working in the DA's office. So I'll be very curious to see if this thing goes to trial and if Roberto doesn't start naming other people, and we might see that Chief Weems might be right, that there was a bit of corruption going on that maybe stretches a bit farther than makes us comfortable, but we'll have to see if any of that shakes out. Thank you so much for joining me here on today's episode. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you're having a wonderful holiday season. Come on back tomorrow to the Lord and Arts channel and we'll look at another case. Take care.